minutes of opening credits that do nothing for nobody. Ricardo Montalban? How could I possibly sit through this movie and not make like 1,001 Fantasy Island jokes? And yeah, I know he was in that one episode of Star Trek that one time. Reading. Also, what about in the 23rd century? What about it, huh? What about it?
Starship Enterprise on training mission to Gamma Hydra.
Movie drops Enterprise name into the Kobayashi Maru test, pretty much only to try and trick the viewing audience into thinking this opening sequence is real and not the Kobayashi Maru. Jeez, Spock, Uhura, Bones, and Sulu? Could the movie be trying any harder to make me think this isn't a Starfleet Academy test? Also, are we really to believe these three super senior officers are spending their time play acting as junior bridge officers for the sake of college students?
Stand by.
Nice dramatic turn entrance, but what the f*** were you doing just now facing the science officer's ass? In other words, dramatic turn for the sake of dramatic turn is dramatic turn.
Klingons on attack course and closing.
Don't worry, it's those exact same Klingons in the exact same formation from the exact same shot in the first Star Trek movie. V'ger will take care of them. This is a simulation, right? Why would you put something that dangerous in a simulation? Or is Sulu really that great of an actor? And now we find out it's a simulation. None of what we saw mattered. Still, this fake action is better than the first movie, which I think is still going on.
What about my performance?
Your performance? It's Sulu's that was the best in this scenario. And looks like he pulled off another amazing feat by disappearing from this scene altogether.
Admiral, wouldn't it be...
George Takei! Kirk collects old revolvers and old ships. What marvelous character development by set design. Also, that telescope is clearly pointed at the apartment of some promiscuous green-skinned alien floozy. Is there any doubt? Oh, now we get the curved fireplace wall of helmets?
Who am I hiding from? From yourself, Admiral.
Hiding from your shelf cliché.
We are continuing our search for a lifeless planet to satisfy the requirement of a test site for the Genesis experiment. So far, no success.
The universe of this movie suggests it's really hard to find planets with no life. Futuristic communication displays will have terrible horizontal hold. Did they get this guy off a scrap heap from the Blue Lagoon auditions?
I can barely see it.
Because this is a movie, we've beamed you down roughly several thousand yards from a maybe possible life form thing. Space breaking and entering. Yeah, we're definitely positive this place has oxygen, so let's remove our helmets instantly. Science! This asshole has 2 copies of Paradise Lost and 1 copy of the Holy Bible. We've been standing here in a sandstorm waiting for you to come outside just for this dramatic moment.
Starship Reliant to Captain Terrell.
Wait, that dude was the captain? And he went on an away team mission with 1 other dude? How many Starfleet regulations did that break? Movie unintentionally inspires Kylo Ren. Okay, fine. Maybe they briefed you on the existence of this guy Khan. But you weren't in the episode of Space Seed of which this movie is a continuation. You weren't even in that season. And then this asshole Khan pretends like he knows you. I'm not buying it, Chekhov.
Captain Kirk was your host. You repaid his hospitality by trying to steal his ship and murder him.
Thanks, expositional Chekhov. Oh no, that worm is about to go inside that ear-shaped Play-Doh. I see the crew is still taking smaller ships and shuttles to the Enterprise, and they're still parking her in Section ZZ at Disneyland. In the last movie, the transporter was on the fritz, and it made some sense they had to take some shuttles here. But now that all is normal, can't they just beam to this thing? Second Star Trek movie felt like the first Star Trek movie didn't slobber over the Enterprise enough, so adds more slobbering.
I had a wee bout, sir, but Dr. McCoy pulled me through.
Wee bout of what? Surely that was.
Is this movie saying Scotty has gonorrhea?
First training voyage, Mr. Preston.
Yes, sir.
Well, see to it that you don't die tragically.
Have you ever piloted a starship out of space, Doc?
Never, sir.
Well, it's easy. You just tell Sulu to pilot it out.
Take her out.
Mr. Savick.
In the future, we will be calling women misters, despite Star Trek being one of the most socially inclusive properties of all time. I mean, why not just refer to her rank and no? You might be tempted to think this guy down here is waving goodbye to the fleet's flagship, but really he's just trying to get their attention to tell them they left a coffee cup on top of the ship before taking off. His efforts were in vain, and a $6 coffee was lost forever.
Lieutenant, are you wearing your hair differently?
It's still regulation, Admiral.
It is? What the f*** isn't regulation then?
May I speak, sir?
This logic-driven, nervous rookie Vulcan stops the turbo lift before even asking if she can speak freely. Based on this shot alone, how am I to know if I'm on the 4th or 5th floor? I feel like I'm on the 4.5 floor, just based on the signs. This futuristic science station is composed of 40% light brights. Is it cool that this mirror is a mirror that also has airport landing strip lights inside it? Yes. Yes, it is. Is it in any way practical? Well, I can't see how it possibly could be practical, so no.
We're the only ship in the quadrant.
As always, the Enterprise is the only ship in the quadrant. They should have named the Enterprise the Serendipity.
Spock, these cadets of yours, how good are they? How will they respond under real pressure?
Well, they're cadets, so...
So much for the little training cruise.
Was that what this was? What the f*** was the newly minted Admiral Kirk doing on a little training cruise? Thank God he's a micromanager, huh?
He tasks me, and I shall have him.
Now I can see why that copy of Moby Dick was haphazardly tossed on the top of all that divine comedy we saw earlier, so that Khan could completely ignore the message of that book.
Well, I've got sickbay ready. Now, will someone please tell me what's going on?
If you don't know what's going on, then what do you have sickbay ready for exactly?
Identify for retina scan.
Kirk. Admiral James T.
Processing your obviously completely different expression from the previous shot, Admiral. How much money did they spend on this high production value video about a super secret thing no one's supposed to know about? How many graphic effects artists had to sign NDAs just to get this thing made?
Matter is reorganized with life-generating results.
And despite this lifeless moon or planet's distance from a sun, it will be able to maintain that life for some reason.
It's one of ours, Admiral. It's Reliant.
Okay, so Kirk doesn't know that Khan and crew are free and in control of Reliant, sure. But a quick microsecond computer search would reveal Reliant is the Federation ship assigned to Regular One, the space station Kirk got a personal emergency message from. So, you know, one sin for no individual or computer on this ship running a basic Google search for the Reliant at this point in the movie.
They're still running with shields down.
Which is amazing, because you'd think that something like hijacked ships were just common enough that the Enterprise would be cautious in a situation like this. For a ship that doesn't have its shields up, the Enterprise takes these phasers like a champ. You'd think the series of explosions in this sector would lead to devastation, but you'd be wrong.
They knew exactly where to hit us.
Except where the weapons are. But what are the chances the Enterprise gets a chance to shoot those up? Have we pointed out how amazingly crazy-ass lucky Khan is yet? Chekhov just happens to land on his exile planet, thinking it was a completely different planet, on a mission involving Project Genesis, something that can both create and destroy all life on a planet. An invention perfect for megalomaniacs. He wants revenge on Kirk, who also just happens to be tagging along on a training mission when everything goes down, and he comes to the scene gift-wrapped for a revenge plot.
I've deprived your ship of power, and when I swing around, I mean to deprive you of your life. But I wanted you to know first who it was who had beaten you.
Okay, fair enough. He wants to rub it in. But why did he shoot that photon torpedo at the bridge a minute ago if that was his plan? That easily could have killed Kirk.
You hand over to me all data and material regarding the project called Genesis.
Why does he need that from Kirk? Doesn't the Reliant have the same information the Enterprise does? Surely before he left he tried to get as much info from Chekhov and Tyrell that he could, right? This is some bullshit just so Kirk can buy the time necessary to escape.
Admiral, it's coming through now, Khan.
Khan is kind of a stupid f***ing idiot to fall for this stalling tactic counterattack, no?
Lock phasers on target and await my command.
Phasers locked.
Awesome, but a minute ago when Reliant locked phasers on you prior to firing, you could tell.
Lock phasers on target.
Locking phasers on target.
They're locking phasers.
So what gives, yo?
Meantime, let's find out how badly we've been hurt.
Screenwriter timing allows for this tragic real-life answer to Kirk's rhetorical question. Also, can you think of any reason the chief engineer would leave the engine room, carrying a dead body, and show up on the bridge like this? Kirk tours the overflowing emergency room of his own making, which, good for him, facing his demons, tending to his flock, but it's kind of downright unbelievable not one of these injured or maimed patients calls Kirk out for wantonly ignoring the call to raise shields at a time that would have avoided all this carnage. Not one boo or anything.
Is the word given, Admiral?
The word is given.
What? What word? What does this exchange mean? You're allowed to die, kid? Who is at your post, Scotty? While you cry over one dead trainee of many, who's fixing the goddamn ship and doing their duty right now, huh? Eh? What?
Engine room reports auxiliary power restored. We can proceed at impulse power.
And the trainees down there in the engine room did it all without the help of seasoned veteran Scotty, who was in f***ing sickbay crying over a dead kid. Also, didn't they lose their main power before? And they just now restored auxiliary power? How did they do all that shit they did to the Reliant with the existing power they had? Hey, we're beaming to a science station that might be held by enemy forces. Let's go with the winter uniforms, shall we? Somehow, despite all logic and Starfleet regulations, this away team includes the captain, the chief doctor, and a brand new recruit with no experience, making it the least logical away team in the history of Star Trek. What? Is this an even more ridiculous rat than the one that shows up in a vent at CIA headquarters in Mission Impossible? Or did Scorsese possibly direct this Character accidentally bumps into dead appendages cliche. Now I know where Jurassic Park got it. This movie mistook blood for super bright red paint.
He put creatures in our bodies to control our minds.
And he's hoping you'll forget how stupid it would be for him to take them out before you got here, so that he can trick you again.
Did you make it down here?
It was not my impression. He spent most of his time trying to wring the information out of the people.
Khan apparently tried to extract information from everybody on this base, but somehow didn't scour the area looking for a place like this, which would have told him everything.
The unit's been left on, which means nobody remained to turn it off.
Because, as we all know, Star Trek transporter rooms are turned to the off switch after every successful transportation.
Admiral, if we go by the book, like Lieutenant Savick...
Look, Khan is a super genius, okay? The fact that he doesn't realize he's being tricked right here is insane. Hey, Lieutenant Savick, don't bother scanning for life forms down here or anything. That's not important at all. By the book, indeed.
I'm sorry, Admiral.
Mind control slugs apparently leave enough of the original brain behind to allow for apologies like this, I guess.
You son of a bitch!
Well, as long as the character is unimportant, I'm okay with this accidental evaporation.
Kill Admiral Kirk.
And the absolutely totally mind-controlled guys suddenly have a hard time following orders. Starfleet captain, who was mind-controlled, to this point somehow overcomes his mind control, which sounds awesome until I tell you he only overcame it long enough to commit suicide. And why does the other mind control worm want to escape all of a sudden? Did it feel its twin get murdered? Now it needs to mourn? Dude, at least let it crawl away from Chekhov for a few seconds before obliterating it. Jesus.
Buried alive. Buried alive.
Khan. Also, dude, you're tricking him about the time the Enterprise needs to heal, remember? Why are you so upset at this apparent radio win by Khan? Is this method acting?
Who is Khan?
Hi there, person who obviously didn't watch the TV show or the first hour of this movie. Let me exposition you to death.
How can you think of food at a time like this?
How could you not think of food right now, dude? Humans be hungry, yo. If you're not hungry, you might be an alien controlled by the ear slugs.
Why didn't you tell him?
How can you ask me that?
Is this really some baby mama drama in a Star Trek movie? Skip. Genesis is not conflicted with the production designer about whether there's such a thing as too many waterfalls.
Kirk to Spock. It's 2 hours. Are you ready?
Right on schedule, Admiral.
Wait, you spoke in code earlier because they could intercept your transmissions, but now you're, what, speaking in anti-code? Awesome Kirk is smart moment absolutely ruined by the inconsistent logic.
We were immobilized. Captain Spock said it would be 2 days.
The movie suggests you can carry out conversations during transportation.
They're inoperative, low sea deck.
What is working on it?
Not much, Admiral. We have partial main power.
Ah, partial main power. That explains nothing.
Sauce for the goose, Mr. Savick. The odds will be even.
What? Walk with purpose now? With purpose. Do these grates all need to be lifted up before a torpedo can fire? Because if so, that's f***ing stupid. And why is the torpedo loading bay super huge and open to human beings? Shouldn't this be a contained unit on either side of the... Oh, this is the dumbest torpedo protocol ever. Also, if torpedoes take this long to load and launch, the Federation is f***ing doomed, man. Jesus Christ, do they do all this bullshit every time they launch a torpedo? Because... haven't I seen Kirk order someone to fire their torpedoes, plural, before? Imagine all these below-deck performers having to do all this double time.
Reliant is closing.
I will give you the time before we hit the nebula, but I will not give you any kind of time data on the ship trailing us that wants to kill us. That I shall leave vague.
They just don't want us going in there.
David pops onto the bridge seconds after the ship-rattling warning shot from Reliant, during which we were treated to a shot of David not anywhere near the bridge, down below with the doctor and his mother and
I'm laughing at the superior intellect.
Khan falls for this.
Raise the shield.
As I feared, sir. Not functional.
Why is the nebula selective about what can and can't work inside of it? I get the monitoring systems going out, even the shields, but why not a whole bunch of other systems, like the ability to fly the ship? Enterprise lucks out and ends up directly behind the Reliant somehow. I mean, Jesus, there are no shields up. This ship has been hit 1,000,000 times at this point. It's on auxiliary power. What the f*** does it take to kill it?
I've got to take the mains off the line.
I have no idea what any of this means. The power this ship uses and runs out of is completely random whatever nonsense to make the movie more dramatic. And this particular plot development will lead to Spock making a dramatic sacrifice, until he appears in the next movie.
He's intelligent, but not experienced. This pattern indicates two-dimensional thinking.
He's not intelligent, Spock. He's a f***ing genetically engineered superhuman whose inexperience with starship battles should not prevent him from thinking three-dimensionally. Funny how these two ships, lost in a gas cloud, continue to find each other at the last minute on the static-filled monitor. These guys are playing Battleship, but with flashes of the opponent's board before they take a shot. How is everybody dead on the bridge except Khan? Yeah, he's got superior physical ability, but not against, explosions, right? I can't stop giggling at this engineering dude back here, who, from the looks of it, just has a bad headache. But hell if he's going to intervene in this situation, or even notice it.
Engine room, what's happening?
Man, he waited a long time before calling down there a second time. Spock was still on the bridge the last time he called engineering. Why aren't there radiation suits for exactly this kind of occurrence?
I think you better get down here.
You need to take a look at this cliche.
Spock!
This is a room you get killed for going in. You go in here like when you're a technician at a starbase and the ship is in for an overhaul and the radioactive engine has been shut down for a while. But sure, let's put an intercom in there, just in case we ever need that.
Ship out of danger.
Gotta admit, Spock's sacrifice is one of the most badass moments of badassery ever badassed, and we will remove 5 cents for it.
We are assembled here today to pay final respects to our honored dead.
He's dead now, but only if this movie is an absolute total failure. You know what brings people back from the dead? Straight cash, homie.
His was the most human.
Goddamn, this scene gets me every time. 2 cents off for real emotions in a Star Trek movie. Why are they torpedoing Spock out onto the Genesis planet? I mean, thank God they do, but that's not the point. Do Vulcans not have burial rituals or cemeteries? And that's exactly what walks through the door.
Very proud to be your son.
Then James T. Kirk and his son had many, many adventures after this movie.
He's really not dead, as long as we remember him.
And we write screenplays with Spock in them. We really, really, really don't want you to actually think we killed Spock.
SETI Alpha 6 exploded 6 months after we were left here.
Ever since CinemaSins began, the most requested thing has been TV Sins, and now it's a reality. Click the link in the description below to check it out. And now, the audio outtakes.
I'm your doctor, and I'm your friend.
I'm a politician, which means I'm a cheat and a liar. And when I'm not kissing babies, I'm stealing their lollipops.
Hey, don't open that! It's an alien planet! Is there air? You don't know!
My dear guests, I am Mr. Raw. Welcome to Fantasy Island.
The plane!
It's time to play the music. It's time to light the light. It's time to meet the Muppets on the Muppet Show tonight.
I guess we'll be going down together. I mean, getting off together.
That's okay. I'll just push the button for the stimulator. Elevator.
Admiral.
Please. Gosh darn it, I give up. It's yours, you can have it. You have to give me a minute to put it in a box for you.
Déjà vu.
What did you just say? On the test, sir.
How'd you do it, Frank? How'd you pass the bar in Louisiana?
He's intelligent, but not experienced. His pattern indicates two-dimensional thinking.
You're just not thinking fourth-dimensionally.